Let's see it.
Okay, well, this will be video number 1. Well, 2. 1 for actual usables, the other's an intro. So, which we just shot like a minute ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're back.
How's everybody doing? You can't answer. Why do I say things like that?
I don't know.
I'm trying to be personal with the audience.
Maybe they are answering.
Well, they can answer. You know,
They can answer. We just can't hear
They
them.
put it out in the comments. We'll read them later.
That's right.
Yeah.
Shut up, you old idiots! Why you getting on their YouTubes and
Yeah, it's like,
trying to talk about stuff?
didn't I see you on another channel? Well, yeah, but
Maybe.
this is what we do for fun. You know,
All right.
We're trying to use this one as a show and tell for some of the stuff that we have picked up through the years and such.
Yeah.
So this is kind of one of those things. They're going, oh, cool! I get some fun toys or whatever. So and which my wife has told me if I bring home any more, she is going to kill me. And she might. I don't know.
What you got, Nathan?
So I got one toy. Let's go ahead and grab this one real quick. I'll turn it on here, and it does actually work. So I'm gonna take it into basic. I went ahead and put that one thing on there. So
I'm impressed that the battery
Oh
works.
yeah.
I know. Well, it's actually they're just AA batteries. They're actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
That's
why.
great.
Yeah. So it's. I don't know if you can actually see it. I can't. Well, should have sit on that one. I think.
Should be able to, yeah.
Hopefully. Well, if we can, we'll. shoot
It's
the
scrolling 3 old tech dudes
overhead.
because basic is fun.
Yeah. Basic was not the first language, but it's the first really fun language.
That's true.
Some
Easy
guys
to learn.
do it.
That was
First
my
one I
first
learned.
language.
Yeah, first
Yeah, the first one I used. The second one was Fortran, which we know that survived.
I did
yeah.
play with that in the late '90s, but I wouldn't say I learned it.
or COBOL.
I was going to say I did some Cobalt.
Did you? Yeah.
That's a horrible language.
A lot of money.
Anyway,
Break
but this
into it. Okay.
Oh yeah, well yeah, it's recycling.
That's
it's
so
the
cool.
thing. Yeah, it is actually amazing that the thing actually works. But I find it funny. It's got a phone modem port.
Oh wow.
Oh, hey.
And the
because-
cassette, I expect the cassette port.
Yeah,
I
the
think
cassette
all the
port, and you
80
can
line had those.
Yeah, and you got serial.
It actually
and
has
parallel.
serial, like straight serial.
And it's got some stuff on here. I have no idea what that. I think that
Could be a
is-
single joystick port. I'm not sure though.
It says BCR or A.
What do you
Actually, I
do with the
think that might
joystick
be
port
there.
on that?
I think it's there, but either that or that could be CGA output.
It could be.
EGA. No, it's EGA.
We
It's
really
HDMI.
understand our toys.
Anyway, yeah, on the display, it's
We
got.
buy to learn.
Yeah, I really kind of do because I saw this as a kid and I was like, "Oh, that'd be great," but this thing was like $1,000
Oh,
in
absolutely.
1980 or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, this is a TRS-80 model. I think it's a Model 100. Yeah, Model 100. Get the model number right. It's still working. In fact, it's still running right now.
Oh yeah.
But the batteries are in the bottom here. They're kind of hidden away. Let's shut it off before it causes damage. Let's break it, yeah, because that's always good. I've got to still restore it. It's a little yellow, but it actually runs on 4 AA batteries.
Nice.
I think that's just awesome.
That's spectacular.
Probably part of
I
the reason it
expected
still
it like
works.
so many 1980s electronics should be C batteries or D's.
Yeah,
You don't see that
well,
much
D's,
anymore.
yeah.
But
It takes 12 D batteries
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
runs an hour.
Yes.
No, I think
About
the
the
reason
truth.
they got really. This actually has phenomenal battery life, but there's no backlight.
Right.
Yeah, there's really, it's
So,
just a screen.
It's just
and
it's a gray. There's no
LCD
backlight
thing
to this
going,
thing.
yeah.
Or, they're not keyboard lights or anything else. And
keyboard lights.
so like if you have a modern thing, right? So your actual keyboard can be lit up.
That's right.
This no.
You had a flashlight with D-cell batteries.
Because that's how you saw the screen in the dark too. Yeah, but this was supposed to be for like business people and such like that to be able to take with them to do stuff. And this actually came. I don't have the cost stuff with it, but it came from an insurance company, so they used this.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And
It wasn't uncommon back then for general business people to learn basic enough to do calculations and such.
Right.
So
Yeah, I gotta turn off this
So was there any other software that this came with?
It could. It actually came with. It initially comes up at this screen, which it's got basic text, telecom address, scheduler, and a couple things I've done. Let's see if I can picture that on there.
So really, that's about all people expected out of their computer in 1980 something.
yeah.
But you could load programs to this. Mind you, it does have. This one has
Some onboard
decent
storage.
RAM.
Yeah.
It's got. I think this is about. I think it's 24K of RAM in this.
Sure.
But they actually had another. There's a storage slot here,
Uh-huh.
but it doesn't have anything in it. But you can put more RAM in this thing.
Oh,
I'm
that's
not
cool.
sure how much it would actually take. I think it was 32K. Wasn't huge, but it was an 8-bit computer. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah.
It's really interesting how the stuff Radio Shack sold in that era. I mean, they had everything at the
They
time.
really were the
They were big into the computer shop and everything. Yeah.
And around here in Bedford, there was a Radio Shack, and it had all this stuff, and I went in there and drooled over it all the time. Trying to clean off the shelves. Computer,
Well, what's really cool about Radio Shack though was that they really tolerated that. At least the ones that I went to. They would let you come in and play with stuff, and
you'd be pawning over everything there was.
Unfortunately, by the mid-90s, it was, can we help you buy a cell phone, sir?
Right.
Yeah.
Here, check out this great contract from Sprint.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it became
No, it's
Sprint Shack.
not why I'm here. It's not. It was Cell Phone Shack. I called it. So.
Exactly. Yeah. You wanted. You wanted.
I want to look at the stereo equipment and the police scanners and the antennas. We just want cell phones.
And they did have. They did actually have ham radios at one point.
They did.
I have one at home. I have
my first radio was a 2-meter Radio Shack, little tiny deal. Yeah.
I had the branded Radio Shack.
Yeah, it actually was. Yeah. So I've got the 10-meter mobile. It finally blew up on me, but I was trying to modify it. Don't modify those; they're a bad thing. They can catch fire. Yeah, and I have a degree in electronics. That's the worst part of it. But it's something happened in there. It just it went catastrophic on me. But it actually worked. Prior to that, fun story about that. The Radio Shack rig, right? So we're talking. It's the HTX. I think it was the 100.
Sounds right.
Was the 10-meter mobile. So it had a 5 and 25 watt setting. So at the time, in 1991, when I got my ham license for the first time, continued on, but anyway, got that. So at that time, I was living in the north side of Indy and then driving to the south side going to work. So, and it was great because then I had like a half an hour of time. I could just talk on the radio. So I got to put this thing in the car and I was just, run on 10. And 10 was open. It was really open at that time.
That's sweet.
What that means for you who don't know is that atmospheric conditions affect 10-meter amateur radio in a huge way, and sunspots make all the difference. So at that time, the band was really open, and they were using skip, and that's actually supposed to happen on ham radio.
Yes.
So I was driving around, and I heard this guy calling, and I had never heard an RU station.
Oh, wow.
A Russian station.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, that's neat. I wonder if I'm even allowed to talk to him. But so I'm like, I'll just call him. So I called him, and he came back to me and told me I was the loudest station he was hearing.
That's spectacular.
I was on a Radio Shack rig with 5 watts.
Yep. Yeah, those didn't have a lot of juice.
5 whole watts with an 8-foot whip on the back of a 1976 Chrysler New Yorker.
Nice.
So that car was as long as a building. It felt like but as what's called ground plane, so your ground reflective part of the antenna, that thing was beautiful mobile because it was so big that it worked. And that was that's a fun story. But that's a ham radio story. But that was like one of the fun ones that and all the stuff I passed up in life that I didn't even think were like worth anything. Like a mainframe, they could have given to me. A mainframe whole system.
Even in the 90s, we were seeing stuff like that. It's like, that old junk PCs, and everybody would want to have one now. I once gave away like 10 Apple IIe's, and suddenly Apple got real big, and they started becoming worth money. Like,
I don't even know. So you remember all the Apple computers that were in the vocational school?
Vaguely, yes.
And all the other schools that were floating around. We sold them all for, I think it was $10 for a pallet.
G3s.
Wow.
I ended up with a pallet.
Apple II.
Oh,
2E, 2GSs, a whole stack.
Must have been before my time, barely.
Fully loaded machines that had every card in them.
I remember the 2GS in elementary school here locally, so I'm sure it was one of those.
Yeah, it was. It was. It was used with our
that's where I first used a mouse. Was on a 2GS.
Yeah, and I couldn't believe we literally just threw them away. They were just.
Well, they didn't have value at the time. We never would have foreseen that.
I should. They're worth so much money. It was stupid. We had like the first gen Apples.
Yep.
Or the Apple IIs.
I think all of mine came from Medora, the school at Medora. They had an auction in 2000, and I went over there with some friends, and we got just a whole truckload of this junk. And I took them home. Every one of them worked. It's like, I don't know what to do with this.
I think in another 20 years we're going to be drooling over old iPods.
Yeah,
wouldn't surprise me.
Look, I have an iPhone 6S. Isn't that awesome?
Whoa! Siri still works.
Yeah, and Siri still works. The App Store won't buy anything, but still, maybe it will. I don't know. Probably.
Apple put brick code in them. These just
That's
don't work
true.
now. It's old.
The battery isn't dead yet. Yeah, exactly.
So, what else you got, Nathan? You have other
So
stuff.
I have a small computer.
Need any help with that? Oh!
Little guy.
This is one of those fun ones, which needs a little restoration yet, but this is one of those. See if I can get it in frame here. I'll just hold it up. Get it in frame.
Over here. Yeah, there you go.
I'm looking at the screen. So the screen's backwards.
Yeah, everything's reversed.
But yeah, I actually picked up, a functioning SX64. And I'd seen a picture of this as a kid. I'd never seen one ever.
This is a luggable Commodore 64, more or less.
Yeah.
So.
And with a full color screen.
Oh wow!
And the one thing it does have, which is everyone's always missing, which is that little cable to connect the keyboard up to it. I actually have mine. But yeah, it's got here is actually it's kind of neat. So
yeah, that's sharp.
I'll put it in front of this camera. Theoretically, it'll see it.
It should so well.
We have a camera above us here. Maybe.
You should see it in the edit, unless we stink at that.
Yeah. Or if it's just looking at the floor and we can realize it. But, whoops. And it needs some fixing. It's missing the side panels. You can see one there, and the other one's missing. And it needs a new clips for the keyboard. And clean up. I mean, honestly,
that is cool.
But it actually works. That's the fun thing. This thing actually functions.
Easy.
Well, it was locked now.
Don't want to break the table.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really light, like 40-pound thing, or whatever. I don't know. It actually, someone actually found out how much this. I'd never weighed it. I was going to, but it's really funny because it's got one floppy disk.
Yep.
So I'll take a picture of the front of this thing so you can see what we're looking at here.
Yeah, there you go.
And click. There we go.
And poof, through the magic of editing.
Yes, through the magic of editing, you're now seeing in front of us. So it has the one floppy that came with it, and they had intended to put a second floppy in this thing, from what I've been told, but they never did. So it only has the internal one, and that's it. But the neat thing is the locking parts of this actually do work. So if I can get them to come loose, that'd be good there. There it goes. Okay. So what you can do on the back of it, though, so I'm looking at the photo. Okay, focus. There we go.
User port.
So it's got the user port, which is neat because it's basically a serial port. Or I think it actually does parallel as well because it's only 8-bit. Didn't have to have a lot of wiring.
Manufactured May 1984.
High-end the machine, these but the neat thing, it's got the joystick ports. It's got the serial port out, so you can hook up more drives to this thing, which is pretty
cool.
It's got the cartridge
typical
port
Commodore video port, it looks like.
Yep. And the one thing I think it does actually have, though, which is really fun, but on the front panel of this thing, it actually has all the screen controls, and it's got a reset button. I think it's only reset for the floppy drive, though.
It kind of makes sense. Yeah.
One of the guy was one of the other channels I watched was showing that off, and I'm like, that's okay. He got his a lot cheaper than I got mine. I paid about fair market value for it, honestly, because I was just like, I really kind of want one of these. Yeah.
So was this an internet purchase or something?
This was an eBay purchase. I got this from. Okay.
So you did pay premium for it?
Not horribly, but I did pay. I think I paid about $200 for it, which you can. Sometimes they go for $300 and $400. This one needs a little bit of work, so it wasn't too bad. But this thing actually works. It actually functions. It brings up screen. You get the actual Commodore screen and everything else. So that's pretty nice. But it needs some cleaning. So that's been on my to-do list for sadly about a year.
I think that eBay, for anybody who collects anything, eBay is kind of always the last resort now because there's an eBay premium.
Say 15 years ago, it seemed like it was that way.
It wasn't. It really wasn't. But now,
even 10, it wasn't that bad. But yeah, it was.
Well, we were talking about amateur radio, and we've commented on this before. At least Tim and I have. The funny thing is, a lot of times you can take a used radio and throw it on eBay, and it will sell for more than what you can buy the same radio brand new.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, and that happens.
Which is foolish because you could buy, somebody's looking at a radio made 20 years ago and it's selling for $160. So you can go buy a new one of the same features for that works better and with a faster scan feature. I don't know. It's crazy. Looking for going prices.
Yeah, so they're like $224 or $189. It's actually not too bad.
Yeah, wow.
And suddenly Nathan's going to have two of these.
Yeah. Sorry, Sarah.
Love you. Yeah. She will kill me. You got it.
We're not clicking buy.
No. Well, I don't think that is a
If she kills him, do we get
free
her stuff?
Too. That's there you go. She will give it to you. I'm sure. Okay, so I have a little obsession with synthesizers, a small one.
A little?
Well, I have 11 of them. but I play them too. So
I can tell you all the details.
But yeah, more than you want to know. So my wife literally told me one day, she's like, "So what am I supposed to do if you ever die? What am I gonna do with all this stuff?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Give it away. Sell it. There's probably some money there." But yeah, so yeah, because you have to admit though, like my other channel, the best video I've got views wise was the DX7 video,
Right.
and at least as of right now, it's about 80,000 views. So yeah, I was kind of thrilled with that personally. But
That is good.
That's like the best. My usual ones are like 5,000 and
The
6,000 at
DX7,
most.
even a non-musician like myself knows what a Yamaha DX7 is.
Yeah, well, and that's why I got it because
It's the quintessential 80s keyboard.
Oh yeah,
Synthesizer.
Oh yeah, well, and this craziest thing is, I'm still on that, but yeah.
Look at that thing. That's gorgeous.
And that is actually mine.
I kind of expected you to bring a synth in for sure.
Well,
future-
I was
future
going
show.
to, but yeah, I figured we'll start off with a couple things I can actually carry.
Oh, okay.
You know what the sad thing is? The DX7. All right, so I have many synths, but I've got a Casio XWP1, current model Casio synthesizer. It's really pretty nice for what it is.
Sure.
It weighs less than this.
Oh, that's humbling. Yeah.
The DX7 weighs about as much as my engine block in my truck.
Two-man carry, huh?
It is actually. So I also have a Roland FA08, which is the full size 88 key, weighted key, and everything else. It's lighter. Wow. It's bigger, but it's
those are
lighter.
very wide.
It doesn't weigh as much as the DX7. But that's just kind of the reality of it. Anyway, so who wants to go next?
How about you, Justin? You got some cool stuff sitting over here.
We'll have to go with the magic of editing again because I'm gonna have to get.
BAM! And we're back.
And we're back.
That took what, a billionth of a second for you guys? We're back.
All right.
It didn't take us that long. Maybe about 5 minutes.
So
I have some video of this just so you get this thing. We're here in a minute. So
yeah. So my thing is clocks and telephones. I don't know why, but they fascinate me, and I peruse Goodwill quite regularly in hopes of finding stuff. And this is one of the things that. Oh yeah, look at
Got a
that.
dimmy thing.
Yeah. So I don't know if the camera's gonna pick up the light, but I think we have a picture that will magic in.
And we'll put a little video at this point here.
Yeah, hang on.
Does it just have light sliding through it?
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Sliding through it. I know what I mean.
Is that?
So
This is
like if you-
1970s vintage, probably.
one of these knobs
Is this from the 70s?
will cause
Because it has
see.
the old RS logo on the left side that became popular in the mid 70s.
So
see it as we
I also
walk over.
didn't show you guys if
Does
you.
the dial light up?
It does.
Oh yeah,
Oh, sweet.
that's how it's supposed to be. I
Turn
turn
that down so we don't, have any copyright infringement.
Oh,
but
yeah. Let me get a picture
so-
of it again. So we get the light out of the way. Okay. iPhones
So-
are great for that. They take good pictures.
So we were just discussing this this kind of unique display that this particular clock has. It really does look like there's pretty much just an incandescent bulb in the back here that shines through what I guess we decided was an inverted LCD.
I think it's kind of like this thing with the polarizer.
What's odd is it actually looks mechanical when you turn the numbers up.
Yeah, it
It's-
almost-
Yeah, it really does.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure what we got going here, but
I
it's
mean,
fancy.
It's
A person could probably take this apart and look at the innards.
Probably never be back together.
Oh,
Right
I bet it
again, right?
would. All this stuff is actually, there's screws in here. So, like, they actually made this to be taken apart, which is something
Oh,
else.
there's a diagram. That's cool.
Oh, well, there
you don't
you
see
go.
that very often.
No.
Like trying to diagram on something.
Schematic.
Yeah.
You got a date there? No.
The
It's
date
got an
code.
Inspector.
It's Radio Shack. Hey, more Radio Shack.
Magic.
Hey, it got
So, yeah, realistic.
Good thing if you ever want to see it, and you can actually probably get information even on that. So if you go to, I'm going to get the URL. I'll put it on a thing here or something. But it's a URL to look up all the catalogs.
Oh, that is cool.
I have killed many a lunch hour at this website. You can look at every
display model.
every
Look at
sales
that thing. Isn't that
catalog
cool?
that they've came out with.
And yeah. Oh, here's RadioShackCatalogs.com. I'll put a link in the bottom or something.
Yes.
But yeah, so you can go in there like general catalogs. I always peruse their computer catalogs because, well, yeah.
Right.
I might be a little on the geeky side. I'm just saying. It's possible.
I've
Anyway.
read most of them. Look for things that I own.
It's fun to see what things actually sold for And a lot of times it was a lot more than at this clock was probably more than
I bet
you would think.
Every bit of $70.
Yeah,
Would be
for an alarm clock.
Yeah, for an alarm clock.
In the 80s, so I mean, you know, or
It's
70s.
in the back of that. It's got a headphone jack on the back of this thing.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
On a
Earphone.
clock radio
Right.
with a headphone jack. You don't see that.
I'm telling you, man, that's mechanical. Look in there. It moves little things around.
The little the little alarm light looks mechanical because you can actually see it sliding something.
I don't know. That's so weird.
Yeah, turn it again. Turn it again.
Say, fish tins. There.
Oh, that is so... Yeah, it is.
Is it just
mechanical.
moving little?
It's moving like little
like
levers in
like
there.
a
That
puppet.
is-
This is I've seen a lot of flea market radios. I like electronics in general. I've never seen such a
Right.
thing as this.
And
That's-
it's got a little wear on it. I mean, it does need to be cleaned up a little bit. But, you know, all in all, for its age, it doesn't look that terrible.
No.
No,
Not
it's,
at all.
it's in really good. I mean, other than a little cleaning, it looks like it's all complete. It's
Right.
Like, it's not like rusted up or anything.
Right. I've not left it plugged in, so I don't know how accurate it is on keeping time. The radio does work, and the radio actually works really well. There's no antenna, but the radio picks up incredibly well.
Probably.
I wonder if it's using that thing. It's just using
It may.
Because I've got a few old ones that do that.
It could.
What has she got?
This was another Goodwill radio, which sadly does not work. It powers on. The radio portion does work. But like most of flip clocks of this era, the grease inside the little electric motors has turned to gunk.
Oh, yeah.
So the mechanism does still work, if I can remember how you said it, but the numbers will turn. But just not by the motor that's in here. So yeah, sad times.
Look at us.
fixable. That is fixable.
But yes, it is. It's very fixable. There's actually websites dedicated to flip clocks. There's flipclock.com.
There you go.
I once saw a website dedicated to box fans. I mean, I collect a lot of stuff, but I don't collect box fans. But some people are all about box fans.
Haven't you went on and on
How can
about
you
box
not?
fans before?
I have a box fan I'm fond of. Yes, I don't collect them. And it is very old. It is avocado green, no less.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't make them like they used to.
That's right. With the metal blade, if you stick your
But I
finger
don't
in
post
that
on
baby,
forums
Oh,
about
yeah.
them.
With no
Not-
grill.
Oh, it's a rare Kmart in green.
But yeah, you stick your finger in that, you're not getting it back.
It's a meat slicer. It's like 40 horse motor on a fan with no, with no
Hey,
shroud.
they could move some air though.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
In toddler's arms.
But you know, with this radio, this is a General Electric. It's just
GE.
oh yeah, I got the GE logo right
Yes.
here.
I like the blue backing on the
That's
dial.
and that's what attracted me to this was just the
Oh,
look
sweet.
of the clock.
That's like that blue metal or something.
Yeah, which that if you turn it upside down is
Oh,
loose in there.
Oh, man,
But,
that's had a hard life.
Yeah, this one has. But I think, and there's supposed to be a little incandescent bulb behind or above the lights that comes, which has since burned out.
Yeah.
But that's supposed to light up for nighttime.
I bet you can fix that.
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah.
You can fix all that.
But yeah, so this one was just the look that attracted me to it, and got it home, plugged it in, and unfortunately it doesn't work. The time doesn't work, but like I said, that's fixable.
Yeah.
So if I had time,
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's like a lot of stuff we collect. We collect it for different reasons. I collect keyboards because I like playing keyboards. I've been playing for a long time. And computers is because I'm just...
What is this wood grain finish masterpiece?
little guy here.
This is a
So-
high-end answering machine.
So
Look at that.
this particular answering machine was actually not this one, but this model was featured on the sitcom The Goldbergs. If anyone is familiar with that, it's kind of a Wonder Years based in the 80s.
And to keep with the Radio Shack theme, one of the tapes is a Radio Shack.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
This thing weighs as much as a house. I'm like, I'll tilt this
it
up.
is
People see it. I'm
substantial.
like, what?
It is substantial.
Yeah, we spent a lot of money at Tandy at some point in our life.
Right.
Oh, I love
so-
how these. Oh, it came on.
Yeah. Oh, it works. Yeah.
Are there creepy old messages on it?
Well, there probably are, but much like the flip clock, the motors that drive the tape no longer function. So, but it does power on, and that's really the only. There it goes trying.
Woo!
Yeah, it'll
Doesn't
try.
sound very healthy.
It will definitely try.
Probably just ate the tape.
No, that's good. I played with it.
Okay.
I
I just like.
yeah.
I like
High
pushing
tape.
He likes
buttons.
pushing buttons. So the neat thing about this, though,
And he programs bank software.
Click height
Yeah. So there are 2 tapes because one has your outgoing message
This
in
thing
it.
smells like old sadness and death of
Old sadness, huh?
That's awful.
So yeah, one tape contains the outgoing message like "Hi, you reached
Even the tapes are heavy.
leave a message,"
Oh yeah.
and then the other tape is for your messages, so that people don't have to wait for the tape to fast forward past any messages that have already been left.
Wow, this is actually, I don't know if it even says compact cassette on it. I mean,
That is old,
You
yeah.
see that in the old,
Yeah.
you know,
You
very,
rarely see that.
that's
an old
concept
tape.
went a while.
How old is this? Is it from the
don't know.
1970s?
I should do my research and find
Because
out.
I've never seen compact cassette on anything but pictures of tapes from the 60s and 70s.
Well, there's no there's no
that
guarantee.
logo there. That's
Well, I
the
guess that
original.
one does say Panasonic.
That's the original
so yeah, that's
brand
the
of
original.
the.
Oh, no, this tape does have an issue. Look at that. It's kind of got
look at
tape
that.
going through the hole for some reason. Oh, I see why.
Well, yeah, this
It's
so,
a continuous.
Yeah, those
Oh,
are the
it
continuous
It
loop
slipped
tapes.
over the wheel or something.
It just went the other way. That may be it. Well, no, it's not engaging the. I know. Is it?
We're going to fix this while y'all wait.
We're
Percussive maintenance!
Yeah, there we go.
It's not a high tech way of doing it. I just get it. Well, I see why they did this because it doesn't. It only has one. It only has one reel.
Right.
Because it doesn't actually have a reel.
No,
in it.
this doesn't do anything. This is just a guide.
Well, and the funny thing is, then the other side doesn't actually do anything either because the pinch roller does all the work. For it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
yeah.
true.
That is actually really neat. I've never
That is
seen
cool.
anything like that. Well, I think I did see it back in the. I probably saw one of these like when I was
Lift
a kid.
that thing up. I mean, it's twice as heavy as it looks.
Dude, that's got a serious transformer in it or
something.
something.
Oh yeah.
Made of lead so people can't steal it out of the window in New York City on the balcony.
That's got to weigh a good 10 pounds. No,
Executive Telecommunications Systems Incorporated.
That's right.
Some dealer sold this.
Which, in that time era wouldn't have been that crazy.
That's right.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, because
So-
answering machines back then were. Oh, this thing probably came out. I'm gonna guess. What was? Did it have a year on it? It didn't have a
I
year.
didn't look. I like trying to
I don't
figure that out.
I'm sure you came from the model though.
Yeah, it's a KXT 1520.
What's that? Right here.
Oh, it says simulated wood cabinet. Something that must have been a legal requirement back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Because everything has it. The TV my parents had when I was a kid said that on it. Said simulated wood grain finish on the side.
I think I had a car like that once.
Simulated wood grain finish on the car.
So sadly, with shipping, I think I spent around $40 on this.
Mostly in shipping, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, shipping was expensive.
Yeah, it's like $50 in shipping for 30.
Definitely.
Well, you laugh, but I just bought a keyboard over the Christmas break here recently, and I think I paid $120 for the keyboard, and shipping was $100. But it was a good keyboard though. So
this has a dictation function too, so you could like dictate notes on it apparently.
oh yeah, so like leave a message for someone coming home or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And in true fashion with the time, the cord that goes to the phone is soldered in. So
Oh, yeah.
if you break the little prong off your SOS,
You're just hosed, man. Hosed. Well, I'm just plugging it over here to catch on fire.
you'd probably blaze the. You just tore a hole in the space-time continuum. Great.
Well, can I at least go back and get
Again?
that taco I forgot?
Oh.
What
I
was
think-
fun was seeing
yeah.
this on TV and then trying to figure out what model it was.
Oh yeah.
That was something.
That is, because they're trying to figure out what they're using.
Right.
Oh yeah. I've done that a few times. Just to, I'm like, what is that thing? What was I watching? It was a keyboard. Shocker.
Surely not.
Yeah, I know it's like really hard to believe, but it was a keyboard they had on a band. I was trying to figure out what it was, and I did actually figure out what it was. It wasn't a DX7. It was a. It was. What was it now? It was a. It was a D50. That's actually what it was. Which I have one of those too.
Nice.
Which I'm in D50. Okay, what's next?
What's next? I guess it's my turn. Unless you got
It's your
more.
turn. No, I'm done.
All right, I brought something. I've wanted one of these for years because I like to collect Atari stuff in general, mostly the video game consoles. Well, what we have here is an Atari 800 XL home computer, complete with a 1050 disk drive. Yeah,
Yay.
this will be a good shot for their overhead camera, I'm sure.
Probably.
In general. So,
I reckon I could do something really nice
Yeah.
and take another picture.
you could hear those great sounds. Maybe you heard them.
I'll do that.
I
Not
think
bad.
you just had something rough for dinner.
It just kind of make a fart noise.
There you go.
Here, we got
got
the
the box,
box. It's a proud
There we
sponsor
go.
of the 1984 Olympics. What will you do with all this extra memory? It says on the back.
Was that
And
the
all these
year that-
people doing things with
Yeah.
their Atari?
I'm trying to picture what this guy's actually doing with that.
Said, by using Atari Writer and a disk drive 1, I can enter, store, rearrange, and retrieve my research material in minutes.
I'm sure that happened.
With his 800 XL that is borderline a video game system.
Yeah.
You're really good at reading upside down.
That was not easy. I got skills.
Okay.
Wow.
I love this TV too. Like
Yeah, see, we got our-
Yeah.
It's a very Y2K-ish television. That is the year it's from.
It's like it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it compliant?
I don't know. What's that mean?
I don't know, but when we
Oh,
were doing that back
Y2K,
then-
it still works.
It is.
Was I the only one that was disappointed when nothing happened?
So
No,
I,
because I actually had to fix all that stuff beforehand, and we actually had an air conditioner that we rolled over ahead of time, and it died.
BAM!
Who tells an air conditioner
We don't
what
function
the
in this
date
year.
is?
We don't function in
Oh,
Y2K.
my favorite was Novell 2.15, I think it was. We rolled that thing over to see what would happen, and not only did it die, it erased itself.
Gorgeous.
The drive was
So we
blank.
got
I
a
miss those.
we have a 5 1/4 super low density floppy from the mid 80s.
Oh, this is
Super
low
low.
density?
It is.
Ah.
It's actually double density, but I'll guarantee you it's been formatted down because it has to be for this drive.
Oh, yeah.
And this has a Atari DOS 2.5 on it. We'll put that in our big meaty 1050 floppy drive here.
Yeah.
We'll
I'm assuming this is on.
Should be
I'm
on.
behind this. I can't see it, right? So I'm looking at this.
Looking
on
good.
the camera.
yeah, it's probably a little fishy. It's all right. Oh, it's good now. So we'll type DOS,
Did I hit something?
and it didn't do a thing. It went to the self test. That ain't right. We got rebooted. It applied in the 80s, just like they reboot if it's broken. Ready. DOS.
Boop.
What'd y'all do to my drive? It's off. That's why.
That doesn't work.
You gotta turn the. Back in the old days, you had to turn all your crap on, not just the computer. Here we
There we
go.
go. There's that sound.
And Radio Shack made like a power strip type thing that you could actually put below the monitor. It had like a bunch of switches.
Oh, yeah, with the illuminated buttons.
Yeah.
The rockers.
I may or may not have one of those on my PC at the house still.
Still
my.
does.
It is a tandy.
Wow.
So now you hit DOS and it'll makes all these great
It
terrible
beeps.
beepy noises.
I'm trying to see what it says in the screen up there. Just run radios. My camera's got like a 5-inch screen. I'm trying to see.
I don't know. I look like an idiot looking though. I don't know what it's trying to do. So now we got our disk operating system screen, which you can kind of see. I mean, it's just gonna
sort
work.
of does.
We'll look see what's on the disk. Oh, we're loading.
There's that
Oh,
beautiful
we got
sound.
some good times there. All right, we're gonna hit the reset button. More fun noises.
It's like the thing has
Load.
gas, man. It's hilarious.
See, I got a program on here for you boys.
Oh.
tdude.bas enter. Ready. Let's type list and see if our basic program's in memory. Look at that. All 10 lines.
All 10 lines.
Run. Look at that. 3 old tech dudes.
There you go.
In Technicolor.
Technicolor.
On a 13-inch
Technicolor.
CRT television. I haven't had this thing out in years. I'm pretty happy it still works.
You know, that monitor doesn't have a bad picture on it either
No,
for
it's
a
not a
CRT.
bad little TV.
I mean,
It's not bad.
the scan
It
is
has like a
pretty in sync.
composite in, but hey.
It does on the front.
Oh, it does.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
I'm looking at the back of this thing.
Yeah.
Going, well,
The
it's
back
got-
has nothing.
It's got an RF port.
Yeah.
Yep. And yeah.
This was most recently in use in my kid's bedroom to play some video game. So it's been out in the garage. It's been out in the garage so long I brought it
Wasn't
in
an
for 3 or 4
Atari?
It has been, but not recently.
That's Xbox.
Yeah. I think it was a PlayStation 1.
He got he got an Xbox One S and got a down converter in TSC. That's all you
It's going
get.
backward from HDMI.
If that was
Hey,
good
there's
enough for me when I was a kid, it's good enough for you.
There is a whole market now getting these old video games to work on modern televisions.
Oh yeah, and it is amazing.
I'm pretty sure that there's a hack for this computer to do that.
Yeah.
probably-
It does have a monitor port, even though I don't know what kind of monitors you attached to it.
I
So
want to say this used the same port as the
if it's not the same, it's very close. It's 5-pin Den, it looks like.
Well, I can't believe the SX doesn't have those things. I think that is actually the same thing as the Commodore. There's.
I think Atari sold monitors that worked on this directly, and it's composite when it's. I'm sure you could just rig that up to go to a composite output.
Probably. Yeah.
So
we get a pin out for it.
Otherwise, it's got a channel 2-3 RF generator or whatever.
Well,
Modulator.
I think like the 8-bit guy has actually done that.
Right.
He took an output or something.
Yep. This uses a technology Atari called SIO2. It's basically serial with some tricks, and you can daisy chain everything together. Like you can set a drive select and put a second 1050 floppy drive on it, or you can put a dot matrix or a thermal printer on it. There was a bunch of other things you could put on these.
So it worked in a similar way as the Commodore, except you could actually select your devices.
Yeah.
Well, you could on the 1571s, the last iteration of drives. For
I think you have to set jumpers. Like if this was a second drive, those have to be set differently. But
yeah,
I've noticed
because
it
one
doesn't
drive's
matter.
just not enough.
Well, no,
I noticed it doesn't matter which one you're plugged into either, as far as connecting the SIO2 cable.
Because it's probably parallel. So it's probably like it works kind of like more.
I'm sure,
Let's say more modern,
Right.
like SCSI did, where you have just chained a bunch
Right.
together. This is just daisy chained internally. But
yeah.
that's pretty cool though. I love the fact that works. I mean, this stuff is.
I don't have any cartridges for it, but that's amazing as it does work. Especially this, it's 30 years old. Does
this take the 2600 cartridges?
It doesn't. It takes the 800, 400 cartridges.
Okay,
Yeah, they had their own cartridges. They're little. It had more memory and more ROM space than the 2600. So there may have been a converter for it, but I'm not sure. But it would have had to have all the chips on board for the 2600 because they are fairly dissimilar hardware-wise. So
what process? This thing has.
It has a 6502 in it.
6502?
It's like many of the others. It's got a. Atari had they had a chip called Pokey.
Yeah.
And its prototype was Gumpy. That makes sense. Or something like that. But Pokey is the audio chip. It has 4 voices, and it involves the keyboard scan and controls the character set, the text. This was originally designed as a video game system to replace the Atari 2600 until the CEO of Atari at the time wanted to make it a home computer, so they had to add character capability like the Commodore PET and the like. So, So they said the original chip that controls like the color output and the video game features like the Atari you program with Missile and Sprite, and this has that feature on a chip called the CTIA. The television chip, as they called it for the Atari, was called the TIA, the television interface adapter. This has a modified version of that, and then they added the Pokey chip for all the other features and made it into a whole computer. So it's pretty neat technology for its day.
Pokey chip.
I do. That's cool. The Atari 7800 console, you could add a Pokey to the cartridge and add full audio to it, like the computer.
Was that the horse name on Gumby?
Yeah.
That's probably.
Yes, Gumby.
That's scary.
Pokey.
It would be really neat to see like the comparison on the capacity and capabilities of something like this compared to like the 64, the Commodore 64. Just because they both use the Commodore 64 to actually use it. 6502. It's actually 6510, and it's modified. But they just modified because they chip fab their own stuff, so they made their own. But it's the same language architecture, so it could actually go back and forth. Which is pretty cool. But I'm kind of curious as to how this generated graphics as opposed to the way the Commodore did.
Sure.
Because back in these days, there was no standard. I mean, the standards were just starting to come out when this thing came out. But like when the C64 hit, or the VIC-20, or any of those original ones, they really didn't have standards for the way things were done. I mean, if you look at the way that like the Commodore, like even the VIC-20 generates color as opposed to the or compared rather to the Apple II, they are radically different in the way they have to address things, the way everything has to work, which is pretty neat. Like and the one thing I found out recently, which I didn't know, I had a Commodore 128 when I was a kid. And I had no idea that we could actually run dual monitors on those.
I didn't know.
That's cool. Wow. 2 separate things
Not
going
just
on.
mirrored.
It would actually do it because it had 2 video chips in it. It had the original, the updated VIC chip, or whatever they called it, for the Commodore 64 side, and then they had an 80 column for the 128 side, and you could actually run them in tandem.
Wow.
You wouldn't get the same thing, but you would actually get 2 different screens.
That's cool.
Which is pretty wild. Wow. I don't know if anything ever took advantage of that. Probably not, because it was so rare for people to have 2 monitors.
Right.
But the fact that it would actually do it, that's really cool. I had no idea the thing would do it, and I had one.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which I wish I still had that thing, but it finally died, and I think it just smoked. The power supply went. It was a real common failure, and it toasted the thing. I just didn't. one of those things I'm like, why did I do that? But
There are a lot of
Yeah,
those
throw it in
features
the
like
trash.
that people just forget about after they did anybody ever use the link cable that came with Game Boys? The
A
original
few
Game
people
Boy?
did. I never.
No,
I
I had
never.
a Game
I didn't
Boy.
have a Game Boy.
I used
myself.
mine one time.
That would be that. That's
I think you
one
could
of
play
those things.
2-player Tetris with them or
you
something.
could,
yeah.
yes.
But you both had to have the cartridge, which made it hard to
Yes.
use. Like if you had a
Yeah.
game and your friend didn't, you couldn't use the link cable.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Now we did some fun things with a couple games when I was a kid with Commodore 64s. You could link two of those together and play a couple games.
oh, that's cool.
It wasn't a lot, but there was 2 or 3 games. I'm totally drawing a blank on the name of the games, but you could actually play them against each other. You could use your mother through the phone, but there was a way to take and effectively just invert the serial ports and do that.
Sure.
And it would talk back and forth that way too, which is really neat. You could actually do that. Of course, then later on, someone developed. I mean, you can actually buy now a wireless card for the Commodore 64, plugs in the back of it, and you can go right online with that thing. And I'm like, yeah, that'll. Let's see how YouTube streams on a C64. Yeah. But it can actually do it. So you could go to c64.com and download a game directly.
Yep.
Which is
wow.
neat that it would actually function.
That is cool.
Right.
But which is pretty cool. But it's-
Somebody has. There's a cartridge you can buy for this. It's called the Atari Max or something, and you can load it up on the PC with software that comes with it, with ROM images onto the SD card, and it has a menu selector when you load the Atari,
Yeah,
and you
and
can
it
pick
gives
the game ROMs, and those don't cost a whole lot. I just haven't.
No,
it would
you can
greatly.
go-
I would probably use this a lot more if I could actually do more fun things with it than write silly basic programs.
You can get that for the Commodore too, like my SX64.
That makes sense.
It would actually, there's a little adapter that it thinks it's a drive.
Yep.
It, it takes a flash drive, it takes a flash card, so it can do an SD card or whatever. Which that's pretty cool. It can actually.
Right.
So you
That's
can,
cool. It's
you
a way
can-
to
you
modernize
download
that
them.
system.
Yeah, you don't have to try and find running floppy disks.
No.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I think is neat about old tech is a lot of the software and stuff you can get for free now.
Oh yeah.
So like all of the stuff that I saw when I was a kid that I couldn't have because it was hundreds or thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
You can get it for free now.
Now it's abandonware or something.
Yeah. Right.
Well, shoot, some of the companies that even made the stuff, they're just gone.
Yeah, Atari of this era and this hardware is long dead. So,
Yeah,
I mean, the
there's-
name exists, but all this stuff you can pretty much even reproduce, and nobody's going to say a word.
Yeah, it's just not a market that's going to
No,
that they're going to care about. I mean, you compare the sales of like any modern there are a few new games for the Commodores and,
Sure.
and the Ataris, but I mean you look at the sales of like one of those compared to anything on the Xbox.
Yeah, yeah, it's
I mean, it's just on in today and right now.
yeah, it's
So
not.
it's nothing. I mean,
Yeah,
you're
nothing,
talking about
yeah.
like 300 games, 300,000 games,
Right.
or 3 million games.
Right.
You're such a small market, they don't even care.
Yep.
It's not worth their hassle to do it. Yeah, so they just they've been. Of course, this technology now itself is really just for the most part abandoned.
It is, yeah.
From the manufacturer standpoint. I mean, of course, Commodore went belly up. I think Atari went belly up at some point, but then they kind of reiterated.
Atari went
themselves.
full on bankrupt the year after this version of this computer was released and was
Yeah.
bought by Jack Tramiel, who founded Commodore.
Trammell.
Trammell, I said it. That's, yeah.
Trammell.
He bought Atari Corp and spun it completely toward home computers, and the
Yeah.
video game stuff was an afterthought. But they still sold a lot of video games in the late '80s.
Oh, yeah.
This became the Atari. What was it? It wasn't the ST line that replaced this line altogether? XE.
Oh, the XE, yeah.
I think there was
Yeah.
there was like a 1050 XE, or that's not right.
Then the ST became
yeah, the ST was a lot like a Commodore Amiga. Yeah, and
it
there
was
were
like
there
a
were
DOS
actually
machine.
Atari branded PCs at a time too.
at the end of it. Yeah,
So
they were actually running. It was a 280. No, they had that. Was it
there was a
286?
286, and there's probably both.
Um,
Yeah, they supported this line of computers in general until January 1992. So
yeah, that's pretty neat. I was surprised
so-
how long that like Commodore was able to keep going. I
Yeah,
mean, people made
right.
stuff for Commodore 64 machines. Oh, they're still making it, but they made it in mass for so long. I mean,
yeah,
that thing
more
was
than 10
supported.
years. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that thing
8-bit era
was-
is an interesting creature.
Yeah, because I mean, the funny thing is, I had no idea back in the day because I'd never seen Commodore actually run like a GUI.
Mm-hmm.
They had a GUI for it.
Mm.
Was it Geos?
Yeah, I think so.
Geos was for it. And I had no idea. I had no idea it existed. First time, of course, we're in Southern Indiana. This, the market was a little it's not Southern.
We're not Southern California. Yeah.
Yeah, we're I'm sorry, we're just not that cool. But
It's a little harder to find the toys to find like this too.
yeah, I mean, you couldn't buy this. Well, maybe JCPenney
Or Sears,
could,
maybe.
Yeah, or Sears. But you have to mail it. They didn't have this like in the store. You had to order it to get something like this. And for like my Commodore, for example, we actually went to Indianapolis to get it. And a Toys R Us, which is not on. It's sad.
There's a theme here.
I know. Everything that was cool back in those days is gone now, which is really sad because some of it was really neat to see that something came out.
Sears is on the brink now.
See how Sears is
like
Sears is failing.
What's left? Yeah, there's like a deadline for for someone to purchase them.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
So and that's just the state of the world we're in. So, unfortunately, but that's what it is. So, I don't have any control over it.
But if we did,
we'd still be able to get these. I'm gonna have to edit the tar out of this thing.
Kind of flowing around. We're unscripted this time.
Yeah,
anyway, we're glad
we're just going with it.
Glad you hung out. If you're still watching,
and if you're not, shame on you.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're not,
you're not going to be able to say you were there when
That's
we go
right.
super viral. So.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen.
So, till next time, I'm Timmy.
I'm Nathan.
I'm Justin.
We don't have a tagline to close yet. This is bad.
And we will see you later.
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 Let's see.